Welcome to Creative Brews. I'm Kristen, and this is your weekly dose of creativity, where photography, design, and life come together. So, grab your favorite drink, and let's talk about what's brewing. Hello. Welcome to episode 4. So, if you are watching on YouTube, then you will notice I'm wearing the same clothes and drinking from the same mug, my little cat mug with a bunch of different cats on it, and it says meow in the inside lip. That means I am filming in the same day. So I figured while I have some time, while my son is asleep, why not go ahead and try to record another episode just so that way I can kind of be a little bit of ahead. Hopefully I can get through this. But it's his nap time, so we'll see. Sometimes he'll sleep 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Other times, like if he's sleeping really good, it'll be like an hour, and sometimes an hour and a half, which is crazy. But I take it because then I can get stuff done. Housework. Basically, 9 times out of 10, it's chores, like house chores. So, but a lot of times here lately, what I've been trying to do is try to film the episodes while he's napping. So that way, I can go ahead and get them edited and uploaded. Edited, quote unquote. I don't really do much editing, as I have explained in an earlier episode. So, yeah, we're coming up on a handful of episodes. This is awesome. I'm glad that I have been consistent with this. Honestly, it's kind of like a great way to kind of just like sit down and just kind of word vomit, like just come up with some topics and word vomit. So it's kind of like the new way of like writing in a journal or something like that. So yeah, it's kind of like I'm sitting down with some friends and we're talking, and we've got our coffee or our beer or whatever you want to drink. So that's another reason why I called this podcast Creative Brews, just because I didn't want it to be just solely coffee. I wanted it to be like, whether you drink tea or maybe it's later in the day and you want to have some wine or some beer. So, yeah, I'm not always going to be drinking coffee, but that's really all I drink at the moment. Sometimes I drink tea, but a lot of times I drink coffee and water. So, yeah, let's get into the episode. So, today, or in this episode, I'm going to be talking a lot about, I guess, just keep it on photography for right now. Again, the episodes aren't always going to be on photography. I kind of just go off of what I want to talk about for the day, so, yeah. So we're, again, almost lost my train of thought because I'm kind of rocking my son with my foot over here. So if you see me like bobbing, it's not because I'm nervous or anything like that. It's just because I'm, he's sleeping. So anyways, yeah. So it's not always going to be about photography. All right, so let's talk about the rule of thirds first. I've got some topics here that I'm going to talk about. very basic topics as far as photography goes. I'm sure if you're a photographer or if you're studying photography, you've heard about the rule of thirds. Basically, it's not really like you have to go by the rule of thirds. It's just kind of like a guideline. So I know everybody, on your cell phone, you've got a camera, and a lot of times you can have the choice of having the rule of thirds guidelines on, or you can switch them off. So I like to keep them on, not on my phone, but on my camera. On my camera, I keep the guidelines on just because basically it's you've got two horizon lines and two vertical lines. So the idea is so that way you can kind of create this balance, right? So what you want is to have your focus either in the middle. Again, I feel like this is kind of like a hot topic because a lot of photographers are like, oh, well, you don't want to center your subject. You want to kind of offset the subject or the focal point of the photo. So I think it just depends on what you're shooting. What photo, like what feel are you going for? What's the mood? If it's like product photography, 9 times out of 10, yeah, you want it to be like dead center, unless, again, you're kind of trying to offset it to create something interesting within the image. So I believe he's waking up. So, anyways, that's kind of a very like simple, basic explanation of the rule of thirds. Personally, a lot of times I don't, like if I'm doing portrait photography, I'm not going to place my subject, which is a person, or if it's an animal, I don't place them like dead center unless there's a reason or unless, I want like the perfect balance, then I'll do that. But 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna offset them a little bit because it kind of creates. I know it sounds crazy, but it kind of creates something like a photo that's more interesting than if it was just dead center. So, and it also creates balance. So, and if you're going for, again, some kind of a certain mood or a certain aesthetic, even, then yeah. Hopefully that all made sense. What's funny is whenever I get to talking, sometimes I kind of like, not black out, but I kind of like just get so into talking that I'm like, I forgot what I said. And so then I'm like, oh God, I hope that made sense. But yeah, it's all about balance. It's all about creating something interesting to look at. But yeah, so, and a lot of times if I do place my subject or the focal point in the middle, a lot of times I try to kind of like shoot this almost like I'm trying to create like shooting through something. So, if there's trees, try to frame it with the trees. And so that way, again, it creates basically like, when someone's looking at your photo, it's almost like they're reading sort of like a page out of a book, So you kind of create this something interesting with your eyes. Like, where do you want the eye to go to first, And I'm getting excited, but that also really ties in with design. Like when you're designing something, where do you want the person's eye to go to first? And then of course it's like they're reading again a page out of a book, or it's like they're reading a book even. So, yeah. Um okay, so I am trying to basically not make this episode too long, but just go ahead and talk about some really basic photography topics. And so I figured I'd talk about the rule of thirds and the best times to shoot, like the best times of day to shoot. So, for the visual watchers out there slash listeners, I had to pause on the podcast, but I'm back and I now have Starbucks. So, anyways, so yeah, the best time of day to shoot would either be early morning or in the late afternoon. So during like lunchtime or something like that is not really the best day. I mean, the best time to shoot. Because you're going to have a lot of harsh shadows on you. Again, the lighting is like directly above you. It's not going to look flattering. It's going to look harsh. And it's just not going to look good. And it's going to be very bright if it's a bright day. Of course, if it's overcast outside, so very cloudy, then that is definitely great lighting because it acts as a natural soft box. So it's going to be very soft lighting, no harsh shadows or anything like that. So, yeah, perfect. You have two, if you didn't know, two basically golden hours in the day. One is early in the morning, and one is like late afternoon, going into dinner time. So, if I were you, what I would do is look up, and a lot of times on your weather app, it'll tell you when the sunrise is and when the sunset is. So basically, sunrise and sunset are your two golden hours. Sometimes I've heard some photographers call it blue hour early in the morning. So, yeah, I believe that's about it. Trying to kind of keep this one at like 15 minutes or so. So, right now we're almost at 13 minutes. But I believe that's about it as far as the best time of day to shoot. I had another bullet point that I wanted to go through, but I think I'm going to save that for the next episode. So that way this one isn't too long. But yeah, I hope, hope this helped someone out there, or maybe it's just interesting to listen to. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.